EMS. What's the address of the emergency?
3. It's Indian Creek neighborhood on Hoover Road. Oh my God, please hurry, what is happening?
What happened?
It was 2017 would have been when we met, but Mississippi State beat LSU at home in 2017. And so after that game, I was with my younger brother, she was with her younger sister, and they happened to have some friends in common, and we're kind of standing to the side of this group, and I thought she was pretty cute, and so I went and introduced myself to her, and then we exchanged numbers.
We were older, in our later 20s, and so I think we had dated to a point where we knew what we wanted and what we didn't want.
So I work as a hospitalist, and I tell everybody that if you were to come to the emergency department and you were too sick to go back home and you needed to come into the hospital, chances are me or one of my partners will be taking care of you throughout your stay.
I'm the Vice President of Design and Culture at Muskelly Furniture, mom to Everly, who's 2 years old. So my family's been in the furniture business here in Jackson for 45 years. It was my dad and his 2 brothers, and so now it's second generation. It's me and my siblings now working alongside my dad. There is a group called CPR Stars that had reached out to us and wanted to do manager training for, different areas of our business. And so we thought that that was a good investment, to have people trained throughout the store, as well as having AEDs, in different parts of the store. I'd never learned CPR. I know a lot of people learn it for babysitting or lifeguarding, but I had never learned it. And obviously never in a million years did I ever think, that it would really be anybody in my family, definitely not Tyler. So we had watched Netflix, going to bed just like normal, and so Annie, our 100-pound golden retriever, sleeps in bed with us, and so at 3:30 in the morning, I woke up to a sound, and so I thought that it was Annie. I sat up and said, Annie, trying to check on her, and she looked at me, and I realized that it wasn't her, and so I realized that it's Tyler making the sound, so I reach over and I'm shaking him, and I'm calling his name, and he's not responding, and so as, the seconds go on, you realize, that's weird that he's not waking up, and so try again louder, and I got up from my side of the bed and walked around to his side of the bed and really started shaking him and, yelling, Tyler, Tyler, and he wasn't responding. And so I ran back to my side of the bed and got my phone and called 911. And all I knew at that time was my husband's not responding. We went to bed. He's totally healthy. He had ridden the Peloton the night before. And so I'm on the phone with 911, and I pulled him off the bed at this point, and she is asking me questions, how is his chest rising and falling? And I think that's when I realized he wasn't making that noise anymore and he wasn't breathing. And so she said, we're going to start doing CPR. And I said, well, I'm already doing it. And so she helped me count through CPR, and I did that for 9 minutes until the first responders arrived. I, said, I know that I'm doing this right. This feels just like it did in my CPR class.
Okay, I want you to tell me how fast you're doing it, and I want you to go with me. CPR is in progress. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
But we're sitting there and she's helping me keep the rhythm, and after a few minutes, you're exhausted, but she kept reminding me, Elizabeth Ann, you're all Tyler has.
Okay, keep doing compressions, okay? You're doing what you need to do right now, and that's helping him. You're all he's got.
Obviously I'm looking at him and thinking about that, and then obviously realizing that Everly's across the hall, and this is not just my husband, but this is her dad, and I've got to do everything that I can do to make sure that he's going to be okay. When the first responders got there, and they worked on him for a little while, and I distinctly remember them slamming the door, and I realized they don't want me back there, they don't want me to see this, this is really, really bad. And then when they told me I couldn't ride in the ambulance, I think that set in with me that they knew it was really serious, and plan was to take him down Lakeland, and then they ended up calling and saying they didn't think that he would make it all the way down Lakeland, and so we stopped off at a hospital on the way there. I prayed, because at that point, Our friends and doctors at the hospital had insinuated the Tyler that I went to bed with probably wasn't going to be the same Tyler that woke up. So you're just sitting there, and here's this person you love so much who went to bed completely normal last night. It's now on a ventilator, and so when all you can do is pray. But he kept making eye contact with me, and I was like, he knows who I am. And so we would hold hands, and then eventually he sat up and he did this. And I was like, he wants to write. It's like in a movie, So he did. He wrote what happened. And I was like, okay, well, he knows where he is. And then he wrote, extubate me. And the next morning, I was getting a FaceTime call from Tyler Howell, and the ventilator is off, and he says, hey, what's up? I think to see him with Everly, we did sneak her up to the hospital, and I think day 3 or 4, we took her out, and she was only 1. Because I remember Tyler holding her. I think I realized then Dad almost was taken away, So I think more so than it was my husband, it was the dad.
I like numbers a lot, and the chance of surviving a cardiac arrest in a medical setting is pretty slim, less than 10%. And each minute someone remains unresponsive and in arrest, that percentage drops, and it drops pretty quickly. I mean, it's just one step after another, where I think it would be statistically ignorant to attribute my survival to anything other than the intervention of God. It was a miracle. And so obviously, having had one cardiac arrest, I'm at an increased risk of having another one, and some insurance on that is to actually have a device implanted. It's over here on my side, and if I ever go back into a cardiac arrest, it'll give me a shock, which I really hope never happens, but it would put my heart back into rhythm and prevent everything that I went through. And so I'm thankful to have it.
And I really was just grateful that I knew what to do. I think that's been the biggest thing looking back, is if I was on the phone call with her and she did say, I'm going to walk you through how to do CPR, which I did appreciate. But I think had I not been trained in CPR, that would have been very overwhelming, in that moment, to be learning how to do CPR and doing it on, your husband. So that's my challenge to everybody. If I can do it, you definitely can do it, especially if it's somebody you love. But really, I feel empowered that I could do it anywhere, anytime. It's just that simple.
A lot of the research that was used in the development of these devices was funded by the AHA. The research that's funded, the CPR that is taught, the medical care that is provided more expeditiously because symptoms are recognized earlier. It all is something that will save lives and help people for years to come.